travel around an area to see what it looks like, to see what it's like, okay? And bringing up some of its artifacts. How do archaeologists identify it? Well, many ships have markings on them. What's a marking? Marking is a colored line or a shape or a pattern which is used to identify that thing, right? Which shows what it is. These may be their names or identifying numbers, okay? These may be their names or identifying numbers. They might have this on them, okay? Iron and steel-hulled ships may be shaped in ways that make them easy to identify. Iron and steel. What is iron? Iron is the element with which you make steel, okay? What is steel then? Steel is the metal that you make with iron, and it's very hard, and it's used in vehicles, buildings, bridges, when you want to make a strong thing. Steel-hulled ships. What's a hull? Steel-hulled ships. Hull is the main body of a ship. May be shaped in ways that make them easy to identify. As for wooden ships, they may have disintegrated, so things like ship's bells, cannons, and other metal objects are used to identify the ship. As for wooden ships, regarding wooden ships, they may have disintegrated. What does that mean? Disintegrate. What does integrate mean? Integrate means things connected, okay, to form a whole thing. Do you understand? Things getting joined and making a whole of something. Disintegrate means to be divided, get weak and divided and destroyed. That is disintegrate, okay? So things like ship's bells, cannons, and other metal objects are used to identify the ship. Why? Because they are made from metal, okay? So they don't break easily. Cannon. What's a cannon? Cannon is a large gun, okay? Usually with wheels that were used in the past. Also, the team must explore the ship by using divers, or in many cases, submersibles that make video recordings. That make video. What is video? Video is the record that you can see, okay? Recordings. I did this right. So let's move on.
Using divers, or in many cases, submersibles that make video recordings. The final task is to bring any artifacts that are found to the surface. Care must be taken to preserve these items. After being underwater for so long, exposure to air or sunlight could damage them. Many times, archaeologists place the artifacts in saltwater tanks when they're brought on board the research vessel. Doing this helps preserve them. Then experts examine the items. Many are encrusted with rust or barnacles and other sea life. So the artifacts must be carefully cleaned before they can reveal their secrets. Now, I'd like to show you some slides from a recent shipwreck. I think you'll find them fascinating. Would someone hit the lights, please?
Okay, so what is this part about? After you find the wreck, you identify it, and you bring it back, to the surface. Okay, then what you do? Okay, you have to take care to preserve it. Okay, and this would be the next step. The final task is to bring any artifacts that are found to the surface. Care must be taken to preserve these items. Care must be taken. You must be careful. Care must be taken to preserve. What does that mean, preserve? Preserve means to make something stay in the same state or condition. Okay. These items, what's an item? Item is one thing of a collection or a list. After being underwater for so long, exposure to air or sunlight could damage them. After being underwater for so long, exposure to air. Exposure, what does that mean? If you expose something, you uncover it, so it can be seen or it can be affected by the surroundings, all right? Many times, archaeologists place the artifacts in saltwater tanks when they're brought on board the research vessel. Many times, archaeologists place the artifacts in saltwater tanks. What's a tank? Tank is a large container where you put liquid or gas when they're brought on board the research vessel. Brought on board. What does on board mean? On board means on a ship or an aircraft or a train. Doing this helps preserve them. Then experts examine the items. Expert, what's that? Expert is a person who has special skills, okay, or knows a lot about a subject, okay. Many are encrusted with rust or barnacles and other sea life. Many are encrusted. So what did I say? If you have en in the beginning of a word, it means it makes this. Okay, encrusted means make crusts on it. Okay, what is a crust? Crust is the hard layer of something, okay? And encrust means to cover something with a hard layer, all right? Crust is also the layer of a loaf of a bread, okay? Which is hard. Encrusted means encrusted with rust means it's covered with a layer of rust. What is rust? Rust is the brown substance that forms on iron, okay, or steel when they come into contact with air. No, with water, okay, when they come into contact with water. With rust or barnacles, what's a barnacle? Barnacle is a small shellfish which fixes itself firmly to rocks or the bottom of a ship and other sea life. So the artifacts must be carefully cleaned before they can reveal their secrets. Reveal, what does that mean? Reveal means uncover and get it known. Now I'd like to show you some slides from a recent shipwreck. Slide, what's that? Slide is a small photographic film which you project on a screen to see the picture. From a recent, what does recent mean? Recent means happening a short while ago. I think you'll find them fascinating. What does that mean, fascinating? If something fascinates you, it interests you, it delights you, and you tend to keep thinking about that, all right? Would someone hit the lights, please? What does that mean, hit the light? It means to turn off the light. Why? Because they're going to watch a slide. Watch slides, okay? So let's move on to the questions. What aspect of marine archaeology does the professor mainly discuss? What aspect? He is talking about the steps. So it's the process, okay? The process involved in it would be the answer, okay? First you do this, second you do this. What was the first thing to do? To locate the site and then find anomalies and what? and then you have to identify the things, and you have to take it to the surface, and you have to take care to preserve it. Let's look at other options. A, the dangers it holds for divers. This is not the main topic. B, the expenses required for it. What is an expense? The money that you spend on something, all right? Required, what does that mean? Require means need. So it's not talking about the money. C, its relation to shipwrecks. This is not the main topic, okay? So the answer is D. Number 2. According to the professor, why do some archaeologists use a toe side scanning sonar? Why? What did they say? It gets towed behind a research ship that follows precise paths across the sea where the ship is believed to be. The device takes sonar images of the seafloor. Any unusual anomalies get investigated. So what does it do? To make images of the bottom or the ocean. Okay, so A is the answer. Let's look at other options. B, to identify the type of ship that sank. That's not what the side scanning sonar is for. C, to collect artifacts off the ocean floor. The side scanning sonar is not for collecting, okay, bringing things up. D, to make video recordings under the water. They take images. It's not necessarily video recordings, all right? Because what do they use? They use the sound waves, all right? So it's images rather than video recordings. How does the professor organize the information about finding shipwrecks that he presents to the class? How does he organize the information? What does he do? This is similar to number 1, right? By describing the steps in order that they are done. He is talking about the process. Let's look at other options. A, by showing the class slides to give them visual images. This is like in the end what he's going to do, okay? This is not how he organizes the information about finding shipwrecks. The slide he's going to show is about shipwrecks, not about how to find shipwrecks, all right? B, by emphasizing how difficult the entire process is. He says that, but this is not the main way of the organization of the information, all right? He emphasizes partly. D, by having the class watch a video on how to locate shipwrecks. They didn't watch a video, okay?